I totally didn't mean to cut the music off. I was trying to quiet it down. Hello, Ashley.
Hey girl.
How's it going?
It's going good. Lots to do tonight.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm going to adjust this just a touch. Instagram
Just
doesn't let you preview what it's going to look like when you have another person in there with you. And then you're like, why am I so low in my screen or so high in my screen? Oh, my goodness. So you watched last night's live, right?
truthfully, I got through half of it and then I messaged you because I got so excited. And then we
Right?
started
And then we
talking
talked forever.
and then we fell asleep with our phone in our hands. So I watched
It's
like
true.
the first 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
good. It was good.
Yes. Yeah. Justin has some awesome ideas for what's going on, and it's crazy. So, uh, so basically, those of you who had not seen Ashley on the live before, this is Ashley. She's from Front Center Performance. And do you want to kind of like tell them about what you do?
Sure. Um, I just started a business under the business name Front and Center Performance, and the idea was born out of the fact that well, it's a couple of things, but the leadership component of it, which I'm focusing on right now, is just simply the fact that as a dance teacher, I used to take my team captains to these things called officer camps, and oh,
Bless you.
excuse me. I used to take students to these officer camps, and I was never really happy with the leadership curriculum. It was fine, but nothing I wanted to write home about.
Right.
And to take that a step further, in the color guard world, they don't have anything like what those dance team girls have when they go to leadership camp. And I was like, that's so not fair. Color guard kids need this. No one else is doing it. I have to do something. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of where that idea was born out of. And 2 weeks ago, I did a free course, and I had like 100 people sign up. So we're getting the ball going. I'm really excited to talk about all of that tonight, though.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. Well,
Yeah, and
so,
if wants
oh, go ahead.
background, I'm a color guard person. I'm also like I have a dance degree. I've taught color guard for almost 10 years now. So that is my resume.
You know what's up. You are here. You are a part of the community. You are a spin enthusiast through and through.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, so last night we started talking about like this upcoming season and what's going on with it. And um, basically like what we think is going to happen in the future and kind of like what our feelings are going to be like. And I think now we need to kind of expand on that with like how do we go about not reacting to this, but actually like, you know what I mean? Like being
Oh,
proactive about
yeah,
preparing for this.
yeah, for sure. What do you think?
I think we're going to have to take some steps. I think communication is going to be vital, really, because we need to talk to each other. We need to talk to our leaders, especially our captains. We need to make sure we have that sort of rapport with our students so that we can, as instructors, so that we can like have that relationship to be able to talk to them and level with them sometimes. Um, as far as like us as instructors too, though, I think we are going to need each other more than ever. Like I'm going to need to be able to call you up and be like, hey, Ashley, this horrible thing happened today and I didn't know how to react to it. And then you could, be my support system there. And I think as instructors, maybe we can come together and give each other ideas for situations that might arise. Give each other resources. There was someone who was just writing me the other day who said, hey, some other guard instructor who I know mentioned that you do these videos, and she sent me over here, and I forget which live stream it was that they watched, but they said they started watching the live stream and they were like, oh, this is good information. Like, this is good stuff. So, just being able to help each other find different resources is going to be really, really helpful in the
Yeah.
long run.
I super agree. That's a really great point. And actually, the conversation you and Justin had last night just really gave me so many ideas on how we can expand on that idea of focusing on the arts component of Sport of the Arts, which I
Yes.
loved. So, talking about empathy and being there for support, I think is a really great place to start. Um, I think if we're talking about students, I think they need to kind of assess, am I first you have to be a leader within yourself. You have to be good at a leader of your own life before you can then lead other people. So let's take, for example, um, dealing with your mental health and just kind of how you're doing, because I know we've been idle for a really long time and we have Zoom or the virtual classes and things that have been happening, which is great.
Those are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. But some people, just don't find them the same, which is fine. And it's very like, it is what it is. And I think, if you're a student leader, you really need to take into account, are you being intentional with how you are spending your day? Are you exercising? Are you eating well? Are you consuming things that are going to put you in a positive mental space? And I think a
And when
great
you say consuming things, you're talking about like consuming content, not necessarily like just eating well, but
right,
actually like
yeah,
watching videos
eating well
and
and just whatever you're consuming, because we all know we're all watching TV, we're on our phones all day now.
absolutely.
So take this time to invest and listen to podcasts, read books about how you can improve. There's a really great book. I can't. I'm working on this one right now.
It's backwards. Oh,
Oh,
Dare to Learn.
Dare to
Is that what it
Lead.
says? Oh, Dare to Lead. Okay, I've heard of this.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's by Brené Brown. It's really great so far. So I think if you're a student leader, this would be a great book to dive into because she talks about leading with your vulnerability, and you can't really be an effective leader until you can kind of peel back those layers and allow yourself to be vulnerable to the people you lead.
I'm gonna
Um,
add that to my reading list.
yeah, do it. I'm sorry I'm sniffling. I'm actually going to take you guys with me so I can go blow my nose really quick, and then we'll
Hey,
come
that
back.
works.
But I mean, I think so. Being a leader of your own life is super important. I was talking to somebody earlier that DM'd me, and one moment, I'm just going to set you down.
That's all good. At least you're not using the restroom. I'm sure everyone has seen that video that went viral on the internet. And I was just like, oh, you poor girl.
That
You
was so,
didn't realize.
that was so great.
But it's all good. So yeah, so like the Dare to Lead is a really good book. I okay, so I've had a lot of issues with my own self with like caring too much about things, and it's good to care about things, but like I care too much about the wrong things. So my I read a book on someone's recommendation recently that was oh, what was it, had a really bad word in the title, but it was a really good book. It was
Like,
something about like
wash your face or something. Like,
no, it was something about how to stop giving an
oh,
F.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how it was, and I was just like, oh, like it was a really good book. I was like, this is enlightening and like helped me like take a load off of my mind to be able to focus on what was important.
yeah. Caring a lot about what the other think is such a huge like weight that we bear on our shoulders. I feel like especially as women, I was talking to one of my students today about, being a people pleaser. It's hard to break out
Yes.
of that, but it's so necessary.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you have like a daily routine that you do? Like, what have you been doing?
Oh, yes, I do now. Okay, so like this has been a really hard thing because school all of a sudden got canceled and like all of our plans went out the window. And so like all semblance of routine was gone when the virus happened. So Like for me, the only way, like I couldn't function for a while. I would just get up in the morning and be like, what do I do? I don't even know. I love making videos though, so I would try to find ways to make videos. I love Zumba, so I kept, as long as the gym would let me have classes, I kept my classes. Once the gym was forced to close, we did online classes. So like literally my only routine for several weeks there was just like 5:30 p.m. Zumba class, and that was it. And then what ended up kicking me out of that sort of rut was, well, I don't know if you've ever heard of Sean Cannell and Think Media. They're huge on YouTube though. They're multiple channels with like multiple million subscribers, stuff like that. And they basically were like, an ad came up for them on Instagram. They're like, we're holding a free class on how to revitalize your YouTube channel. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna just freaking do it. And so I did. It was like a 5-day challenge or 7-day challenge. I forget exactly what it was. And I made Sam do it with me. I was like, you're gonna come do this with me. But just having like that class started at 10 a.m. my time. And so 10 to noon, I knew I was gonna be in class because that was the live stream. If I missed it, I missed it. They were doing like giveaways during the live stream. And if you weren't in the live when they did the giveaways, then you didn't get anything. So anyway, that became sort of my routine. So now I actually took that and I developed an actual like daily routine. So I get up in the morning, I eat my breakfast, and I do yoga in the morning for like 30 or so minutes. And then basically like from there, it kind of depends on like if my husband's off or if he's working. It depends on that. But like we'll go to the river together. Go take my dog swimming if he's off. But if not, then that's when, like, after yoga's over, I'll just hop in the shower real quick and I sit down and I get to work. And I work. I was at first working on the couch on my Chromebook because I was like, oh, it's comfy. I can be on the couch. I can be typing stuff. But that doesn't always pan out the way you think it will because it's so much easier to get distracted. I could be sitting there and be like, ooh, I really need to fold the laundry. I can, like, this video that I need to edit, that can wait. I'm going to fold the laundry real quick because that needs to get done too. Or like, oh, my dog is shedding. I need to brush her. It's like, my dog's going to be shedding later too. You know, like I have a video to get done. So basically sectioning my time and being like, okay, this is when I get to do these things. So that has been insanely helpful for my mental health personally.
Yeah, the power of the routine, man.
Yes.
For sure. For sure. I think if you're a student or not even a student, if you're out there and you're at home all day and you don't have a routine and you are feeling your mental health start to slip, find a routine. Get up, exercise, make breakfast, shower, get ready for the day. You don't need to get all up, but like at least get ready so that you feel like you're getting ready for the day, even if you never leave your house. Otherwise, you're going to be in your pajamas all day, and then all the hours blur together, and it really does cause you to slip and spiral into like a downward, not very fun place. For sure. Yeah.
What do you do to get up and ready in the morning, especially with like having to stay home and such?
So this is not a very sexy answer, but quarantining is not much different. It has not changed my life that much other than I have to wear a mask and I can't go to Target as much as I used to. Because before quarantine, the pandemic, I was still at home and, you know, my daughter really dictates my schedule. Like we wake up when she wakes up and then, you know, we go and play and we have breakfast and then it's nap time and then I do a little bit of chores or I work on something. So she's kind of like my schedule, really. Her schedule is my schedule. But to fill in those gaps, I've been working on my business. I've been just working on listening to a lot of different podcasts and goal setting. I've been setting a lot of goals and thinking about, you know, what direction I want to head into next, especially because of how the pandemic has affected our finances. It's really forced us to look at like just a different way of making money, you know? Like, especially if you are teaching color guard, I fear that there's going to be budget cuts happening and some of us are in jeopardy of maybe not even having a color guard job, you know? I don't know. I don't know.
Just
So,
as like an example of that, like I'll usually run just personally myself, I'll have 6 to 8 teams I choreograph for, and then like whatever else work I get goes to my other spin turns or other staff members or whoever. And I think
turns.
I have two.
I love it.
Yes, my husband came up with that word actually.
Great job.
But yeah, but this year I had four actually sign on, and since I had four who signed on, two are only having anything this season so far. So it's been it. I'm definitely feeling it. Like, and financially this fall, I'm gonna feel it even harder, I'm sure.
Yeah. And you know, if those of whoever are out there that are show designers and drill designers and stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness. You like, why would you be investing into a fancy show if you're probably not gonna be
Right.
competitive? Like, ugh, that really hurts my heart for some of my designer friends.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think start they should start by just kind of doing a self check, and then since we don't since you're like student leaders are not going to show up in the same way that they have, you know, like that we have in the past with having a normal marching season. Now it's probably going to look more like, let's work on technique, let's work on, you know, maybe more of a low key show. So you still are probably going to have things to work on. It's just going to be um, a lot less intense. You know, you're probably, I mean, you might be outside, but
What
um,
for like say Michigan, because I just came back from Michigan, so that's like fresh in my brain right now, and that's the first in-person color guard I've taught all summer. In Michigan, the only way they're allowed to come back to practice is if they're outside. Like the students are not allowed to be inside the building doing any sort of practice. I mean, they could sweat on each other from inside the building is their thought. So they have to be outside.
yeah. Yeah, and it's too hot in Texas to be doing that. I mean, we have band camp outside anyway, but that's usually the first half of the day, and then after lunch is when we go inside for sectionals.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm used to being outside in Texas for a few hours in the morning. I cannot even.
We kind of do the same thing here in Missouri too, because our band camp would be like outside all morning, then we'd go to lunch, and then we'd come back from lunch, and we'd like the guard would be on the stage and do our sectional there, and like they'd all split up, and then the band would all come together and play together in the band room for a little while. We'd still stay on the stage, and then at the very end of the day, we'd go outside for a little bit when once it like cooled off a little bit more.
For sure. Yeah. Um, but kind of going back to that idea of what it's going to look like,
Yeah.
um, I think that they need to this is a time for everyone, but especially if you're a leader, to just exercise those empathetic muscles. If you everyone needs to just have more compassion right now, especially with the political and social climate, on top of being quarantined and people's mental health and the state that they're in mentally. Just like be more aware of what other people are probably going through right now. Some people might have lost loved ones due to the virus, you know,
Yeah.
which is really sad, but um, very plausible.
So,
Um,
what are some ways we can kind of motivate the art? Like, so as instructors, I'm kind of looking through who's here, kind of looking at our chat box, and it looks like we have a lot of instructors here, and a lot of young instructors, and a lot of like older performers right now. And what are some things we can do as instructors and as leaders to motivate our kids to want to still do something, you
yeah.
think?
I think my knee-jerk answer is going to be just to make it fun. Maybe I would start by goal setting with the group and just kind of
Yeah.
starting off just with a roundtable discussion of how are we doing? What do you want this season to look like if we don't have a competitive season? What do you want from this? Because after all, at the end of the day, we do this for the kids. So, you know, if they want to focus on just spinning and having fun, I'm sure, you know, and I think if you are in a position where you are not going to be having many performances, it's a great time to turn to the internet and start like putting together like video versions of like a music video style thing.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool.
Like just kind of how can we transform what we do on a live platform into like a video platform? And you know, you can really start exploring how to look at things in terms of where what the frame,
Mm-hmm.
like when you're looking at a camera and what's in the shot, and talking about, you know, balance and
Angles and focus and balance and yeah.
I don't know really much about that kind of stuff, but I know a tiny
Girl,
bit.
you are talking my language though.
But yeah, I think it's a great time to really exercise those creative muscles, like you and Justin were talking about. You know, it's a great time for them to invest in their improvisation skills and really like digging into how to be more of an authentic performer, you know?
Yeah, and having each other, I think too, as an audience and learning how to be critiquing one another without being critical of each other, I think that might be a really good skill that they can glean from this too, because they can learn how to watch with sort of a,
Like a
you know,
critical,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And decide like how what kind of good feedback to give and that sort of stuff. And maybe we can get some like the next generation of like judges is going to be just amazing or something like that, you know?
Oh, that's a fun game. You could play judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great idea. But you
Or,
know, just doing things like that, like figuring out how to turn how to just to make it more fun for them. You know, we haven't been together in such a long time. Odds are they probably just want to see each other and hug each other. Can't do that though. So, anything we can do to just continue to make it fun, you know?
absolutely. So I'm seeing
Yeah.
several comments here. I kind of want to turn to some of what they're talking about because there's summer practices have been postponed. They're still having sectional band camp. So that's something that's interesting. I've heard of a couple places doing where like so the color guard comes in for like 3 hours in the morning and then the brass comes in for a couple hours after lunch and then the percussion comes in for a couple hours before dinner and like they have these sort of sectional practices. I'm interested to see how that's going to work. If
Mm,
you're a student leader in that situation, I think that's going to be it's going to seem nice when you're doing it, but I think if you do get to a point in the season where you can put everything together, I think that's going to be a very stressful situation. And I think as student leaders, we need you guys to be the go-between that kind of alleviates some of that stress and takes some of the pressure off of the instructors and then calm some of the students' fears because when students get to a point where they don't really know what's going on necessarily, they might they're going to be upset or they're going to be frustrated or whatever, and they're going to take it out by just asking too many questions or maybe mentally shutting down. And I think having a student leader to kind of be the go-between to help with those situations is going to be really good too. Having a good relationship, like I was saying before, communication, that's always what I'm going to come back to is communication,
yep.
talking to each other. And that's what that student leader especially needs to be, is the communicator between the students and then over between the student and the instructors too. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Jordan's been calling everyone on his team. He's been doing guard work together, working on basics, writing routines. That's awesome. That's awesome that you are keeping in touch with your teammates. That is
It's
honestly,
really,
I wish more instructors, student leaders would do that, like have that relationship.
yeah. Is it just me, or when my students feel zoned out or burnt out, I give them a random dance break, they can get their mind distracted for a couple of minutes? That's great. Do what
Yeah.
you gotta do, you know? Like, keep it light, keep it fun. Um, I think that's a great idea. This is a great way for even like people who can read through the comments to kind of get ideas. So if you have any ideas of your own about how you plan on navigating this season, if and when you do go back to marching band, what are some ideas you have? Throw that on there so that everyone can see. Super helpful.
Yeah, add them. Actually, and if you put them in the question box, then I can display them on the video and they won't get like swept away whenever the
Oh,
video gets transferred, because the comments get swept away when the video gets transferred over to IGTV and to YouTube.
oh,
So
wow. There you go.
so give us so in the questions box, give us some ideas that you guys have. Yeah, questions box is empty. So give us some ideas you guys have about how we can make that transition easier. Okay, and I'll pop them up on here.
I
Band
think
camp starts soon.
I think another thing we should address is just some people might be just scared of getting sick in that
That's also true.
in that element of stress too. So just be really sensitive to others and just also be cognizant of the fact that everyone has been locked up, everyone has been, really consumed with the political and social climate. There's so much that has happened that we all just need to make sure that if someone is acting a certain way towards you, just step back. It's probably not about you. They probably have some stuff going on. We don't need to fight fire with fire. Just let them,
Absolutely.
you just go off and keep living your best life.
And you don't know what they've been through over the last however many weeks. There's been so much stuff going on, there's so much turmoil. I heard recently my dad was actually talking to me about all the violence that's been going on in Chicago. I'm here in Missouri, living my best life out in the middle of the woods, and you're down in Texas, like we're not necessarily going to hear about it, but like there's been things going on in different places. And I know for me, like my students come from all over. So who knows if there was somebody who was there or they had somebody who they know that was there or what has happened.
Yeah. Yeah, we just don't know. So we all need to be just really sensitive to that.
Absolutely. I'm not seeing anything coming in the question box. Guys, give us some ideas. Oh, I have one. Oh, I have one. Oh, I have two. Okay, cool. So Erica says, gives your kids the ability to name their preferences and name their boundaries and respect those. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just them. Oh, I'm trying to read the whole thing. Uh, Everyone has different comfort levels. So basically, like, okay, are we okay with 6 feet? Are we wanting it to be larger than 6 feet? There was a couple students in Michigan who like wouldn't even come within 6 feet of me because I had come from another state to talk to teach them.
Yeah.
Let's see, we've got team social distance picnics with flag and do freestyle routine or an improv. We were talking about improv earlier. That's a great idea.
And I think, now that we're on the subject of improvisation, there's so much out there that I feel like I really want to share with the world in terms of improvisation, because what I've seen people do in color guard land is great, but I want to build on it. So, we could probably talk about that even for a little too, if improv is something that you kind of want to focus on, if you're not having a competitive season.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be fantastic too.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got Gabby says we have no marching season, no shows learn, cleaning techniques and stuff, all semester.
Mm.
And I have it. It's cut off there. That's as far as I can read.
Is Gabby, are you an instructor or are you a student? Because I can give you some ideas of other things you can do. I mean, you can still do choreography. It's just not really no one's gonna see it as much. So again, going back to that idea of like a music video, think about different sets around that you
Yeah.
background.
And
Everyone at once.
who's to say that like you don't make a music video with your color guard team and then put it up on the school website and then people see it that way, and all of a sudden now the color guard is actually like seen by the whole society more.
Yeah. Do what you gotta do.
Gabby says she's a student. We lost our coaches for COVID-19.
Oh.
She was on last night too. I think I remember talking to you about this, Gabby.
Okay. Yeah, Gabby, I would you definitely work on technique because we all need do that, but it doesn't have to be just work and no play. Like you could do a lot of different things. Everyone can kind of make up their own. It would be fun, I think, to do something like everyone writes choreography to the same song. Like you could even practice writing a show. And one of the projects that I've seen people do at the end of the year is creating their own Winter Guard show where they uh, pick a floor, costumes, flags,
Yeah.
what moments are going to happen here, and really kind of get into the mindset of a designer. I think that would be really interesting, especially if that would be a great opportunity to bring in the sheets and kind of, it would be a great learning tool for them to think about what judges look at when they're looking at a show and how it needs to be composed and designed in order for it to be successful. So, I mean, just an idea, just to throw that out there.
And if you film it and you put it up on the internet and you say, hey, what do you guys think about this? There's going to be people who will give you excellent feedback. I've been learning this with my turn videos. Like, I've gotten so much good feedback. Now, I've gotten some crap feedback. But, like, don't fall down after you spin. Like, yeah, I know. I know that. But, like, there's people that are giving good stuff, too.
For sure.
Oops, I totally put the same thing up there again. This is what I was trying to hit. We play this game called Choose Your Fighter. We get to pick a song from a song list, and you write your own routine to it. That's a good idea. That's kind of going along with what we were talking about. This is fantastic because of my like obsession with yoga I've had the last couple months. Doing body scans and mindfulness 20 minutes before going into this new way of practice. That's so great, honestly.
Let's talk about that. Being mindful. Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Oh, for sure. I think that's something great to start implementing, especially given everything that's going on right now. Just take some time, find your breath, find your center, be present, because even though there are all these things going on, it is a skill and a hard skill sometimes to learn how to disconnect from your thoughts and all of the squirrely things that happen in your brain with just what is happening in that moment. And an exercise you can do to take that a step further, if you find it hard to just sit there and scan your body, you can do something as simple as taking like a raisin. I did this in a college class one time. My professor she came in, everyone got one raisin, and we all we put it in our mouth, and first she was like, okay, just don't chew it. First, I want you to first just look at it and take notice of all the curves, all the shiny spots, all the divots and things like that. Then smell, and then you kind of take that in, and then you kind of touch, close your eyes so that you can really get a sense of how it feels. Then you put it in your mouth and you eat it very slowly and kind of take it all in. That's a really great way to kind of tune into the present. And I think if you're struggling because there's a lot going on, practice being present. Thank you, Jordan.
Oh gosh, Jordan, crack me up. Okay, and then we have another one from Geo. Oh, this is the same. Sorry, there was two on here from Geo.
Is Geo an instructor?
I'm not sure. Geo, are you still in here? Are you an instructor?
How do you think the winter indoor season will go down? Who knows? Honestly, people can't book venues right now. So we can't really have a season without venues. So I don't know. I think we should just all prepare for the worst case scenario.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like making sure that we are like we, we're talking a lot about marching band season because it's coming up right now. But I think we're going to have to make sure that all of these ideas and everything that we're sharing and all of these tactics that we're going through, you're probably going to have to apply them in the spring semester too.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. You're going to have to be a little creative.
Yeah, and flexible and just patient.
Gio says, I'm a drum major at my high school and I do independent guard.
Okay. That's awesome, Gio.
Awesome. And Jordan, I'm glad your toe is getting better.
Do you teach a high school, well, like a high school color guard, Jackie?
Um, yes, but not like I only go there and teach them during the summer,
Oh,
pretty
okay.
much. And
Okay.
so and sometimes if they're competing on a weekend that I'm not judging, I'll go to their competition and stuff. But like they have one of my former students is their instructor, so I basically just come in and do their choreography and that's it.
Okay.
They're like an hour and a half away, hour and 15 minutes, something like that. So I I don't currently teach at the school where I'm teaching biology at. There's been a lot of like turnover and crazy things going on there. We have a new band director who's starting this fall, and I feel honestly, I feel so much for this guy because he's walking into a program that just got devastated over the last couple of years by some things that went on, and like they went through a bunch of band directors, and now he's really determined it from what I hear. I haven't actually talked to him personally, but from what I hear, he's determined to get things back on track. And then the coronavirus happens, and it's just been rough for this guy. I feel so bad for him. And one of my former students had been teaching the guard here too, even though it was like the school where I teach biology. So I just kind of left that all, kind of let that all be the way it was. So it's just such a hard time though to be a new band director. And I don't know if you checked out Allie from our virtual camp. Allie's been a staff member for us for a few years now. He just graduated with his bachelor's of music education, and he's been trying to find a job, and he lives in
Nobody's.
Florida. No, nobody's hiring now. It's crazy how everything is so frozen.
Yeah.
Everybody's just kind of so scared. And he was messaging me. He was like, what about Missouri? Can I come find a job in Missouri? And I'm like, dude, do you really want to work in Missouri? Like, you live in Florida. Your whole life is down there. But that's just how hard it is to find a job right now is it's not, yeah.
It's a rough time.
And no, if Dayton is not canceled, it will not be the end of the world. Don't, like, that's a mentality I really want to make sure we get away from. It happened once. Be prepared. It could happen again. You need to be mentally, that's why we're here. We're mentally preparing ourselves for the possibility of not being able to have a season maybe, or maybe just having a short season, or maybe having a postponed season. There's so many different ways it could go.
Yeah.
So what are some other things? So we kind of talked about like being present, mentally checking in. What are some other things we can kind of do to help with this? Help with like mentally preparing ourselves?
So I teach a small school, and it's a fairly new program. But I was noticing a lot of my students were kind of down in the dumps because they haven't been doing anything. They're definitely not in a routine. They sleep till like 2 in the afternoon. It's just not very
Yeah.
healthy. Like if you're doing that, I would reassess. Probably not the best decision. But if you're in a great mental state, do you? But I was just talking to my leadership. I was like, you guys, let's do something fun. I found out that you can do like Netflix parties, so I was thinking we can have like a big virtual movie night or something. I was thinking I could teach them a fun dance combo, and we could just like have a fun little dance class or something. I looked up on the internet lots of different things you can do to bond over the internet, like a lot of different things that even companies that have gone virtual and remote, a lot of the things that they're doing to boost their company morale and things like that. So there's lots of really cool ideas. One of my favorites is like an MTV Cribs. So obviously you should like get some forewarning, but everyone just kind of like, this is probably more effective in a small group, not like a large group, but everyone just kind of like tour of their house. It was so interesting to see like what people's houses are like, and you could, incorporate one thing that, kind of tells a story about you or your family that's in your house. So I think that would be a fun idea to do with them that I want to try.
Okay.
But light, make jokes, like I think the great thing about like one advantage to teaching them is that they don't, because they're so brand new, they have no idea like what competitive marching band and winter guard is really like. I mean, they literally do just show up to spin for fun. And it's, you
Right.
know, it's something to do. It gives them a place to belong. Um, so for them, it's really just about having a place to belong. So maybe we just need to come back to that. Just emphasize,
Absolutely.
especially if you're in a program where you have lots of people and it's hard for everybody to make like a genuine connection with each other. This is the time to really break down all those different the possible relationships you could be making and connections you could be making with people you normally wouldn't talk to because normally all we focus on is working on the show. But if we're
Right.
not focusing on a show, we can focus on our craft getting better and creating more unity within the team. You know, maybe as a group, you can, I'm just spitballing this out there, maybe you could go out and do some kind of, you know, social distance community service or something. I don't know.
That's, yeah, absolutely. Like if you can do stuff together, that's always more helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a couple more things in the question box. Um, so Grace says we talked about having competition season where you go and perform but leave. No award ceremony or anything like that. But it is a competition. So basically you would show up and like perform for the judges and then you would be done, which is different. Like that would definitely be a different way to go about it.
Yeah.
Um, I think this next one, this goes really along with what you were saying. Advice for an incoming freshman guard kid. Like right now, just focusing on what you were saying and like having fun and spinning for the joy of
Right.
spinning.
Right. Finding community, make them feel at home, especially because we've all been apart and everyone's been quarantined and by themselves. Yeah, make them just feel like be friendly, have fun, keep it light, make them feel
Oh,
like,
and Erica says a really good one here in the comments. She says, at the end of the day, the reason we fell in love with this is for the relationships. And I think that's so true. Like, yeah, I started doing color guard, but I started doing color guard because Anna wanted me to do color guard. Like, that was my relationship.
yeah,
And, like, we keep coming back because our friends are doing it. And then we become family with those people and so on and so on.
yeah. And it's at the end of the day, it's those really last. Your relationships can withstand the test of time in many cases.
So total not a good segue at all. Total topic shift. We're getting
That's
all emotional and lovey here. But would you be interested in cutting the live and flipping over to your channel? We'll go ahead and continue our conversation over with Ashley, if that's cool with you.
yeah,
So we have our second video.
that's I can probably talk for another 15 minutes and then I
Okay.
really like get my house in order because I'm going out of town.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. So if you guys want to continue joining with our conversation, let's head on over to Ashley's real quick and then